This is your Daily 10, non-calculator, video 8. Make sure you pause the video after each question so that you can attempt it before you actually watch the solution. Your first question is this. So here the first thing we need to do is actually write out 800 million in numbers before we change it into standard form. So 800 million would be 800. Million refers to 6 additional zeros, so if we add those on. So here, to change this into standard form, we would need a number at the front that was between 1 and 9.9 recurring, so 8 times 10, and then the power is however many numbers there are after the first one. So here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers after the first one, so it's 10 to the power 8. So this should be one of the answers that we've got to select. So we would circle that one. Here's your next question. To solve this one, the first thing you would need to do whenever solving simultaneous equations is make sure that you've got the same number of y's in both equations. We do in this instance, so at that point, put a little line underneath, and we either add or subtract the two equations together. A little tip here is to try and use the acronym DAS. If you look at the symbols in the two equations, if they are different, we add the two equations together. If they are the same, we would subtract. Because these two symbols are different, we're going to add the two equations. So 2x add x gives us 3x. The add y and minus y, so positive and negative y, cancel. This is why we've done it, to remove one of the unknowns. 18 plus 6 is 24. So at this point we've got 3x equals 24. So dividing by 3, we get that x equals 8. In order to solve a simultaneous equation, you must work out what both letters in the equations are equal to. So if we just put 8 back into this bottom equation, we would get, replacing the x with an 8, so 8 minus y equals 6. Then we can see here that y, to get from 8 to 6, y must be the number 2. So these are our two solutions that we would need for the full 3 marks. Here's your next question. What we need to do here is try and make x the subject of the equation. Now the thing to notice very quickly here is that the new subject, x, actually appears twice in this equation. So what we need to do is rearrange it to try and actually make it so that the letter x only appears once in the formula. In order to do that, first thing we need to do is try and remove the fact that we've got a fraction in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually multiply both sides of this formula by x minus 5. So if we do that, on the left hand side we would have y and then multiplied by x minus 5, which I've just popped in brackets to make it easier to see in a second. If I multiply a fraction by its denominator, it simply leaves the numerator, so it would leave us with 4 minus 3x. At this point, as we always would, when we see brackets, best thing we can do is multiply them out. So we would do y times x, which is yx, y times negative 5, so minus 5y. And the right hand side we just leave exactly as it is. As I mentioned before, the best thing we can do is try and get all of the x's together on one side. So if I add this little 3x over here onto both sides, that would give me yx minus 5y, add the 3x on, and on the right hand side, if I'm adding 3x, that would leave me just 4. The next step we would try and do is remove anything that's on this side that does not contain the letter x. So that's this minus 5y. So if I add 5y to both sides of the equation, we get yx. I've added 5y, so this disappears, plus 3x is equal to 4 plus 5y. And now we've got this scenario where we've got the letter x that we want to be the new subject appearing twice here. If we want to try and make it appear only once, your skill that you need to try and show here is factorising. So we put x on the outside of a bracket and we take that out as a factor. So x times what would give us yx, that would be y. X times what would give us plus 3x, that would have to be plus 3. Not changed anything on the right hand side. And then at that point, to try and leave x on its own, I'd need to move this entire bracket. So I'm going to divide by that bracket, because remember x with that bracket there means x times that bracket. So if I divide by the entire bracket, so divide by that y plus 3, we will get x is equal to 4 plus 5y divided by y plus 3. Here's your next question. In order to do this, we need to bring in some of the lots of indexes, or indices should I say. So 81 to the power of minus a quarter. As soon as you see that negative power, the first thing you've got to do is 1 over. Put a negative power there, means we do the reciprocal, so 1 over straight away. On the bottom, we just rewrite the exact same question, just without that little minus. So it'd be 81 to the power of a quarter. Now a power of a half, we've seen before, means square root. A power of a third means cube root. So the power of a quarter, going with the same pattern, means the fourth root. So that would be 1 over the fourth root of 81. Now the fourth root simply means we need a number that's times by itself, times by that number again, times by that number again to make 81. So something times by itself 4 times to make 81. Using a little bit of trial and error, that number is 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, times by 3 again is 27, times by 3 is 81. So this ends up equaling 1 over fourth root of 81 is 3. And there's your answer.